Hey guys, welcome back to Med with Made Simple. In today's video, we're going to see about placenta previa. Placenta previa is a condition where there is low-lying placenta. So the placenta is abnormally implanted in the lower part of the uterus in this condition. In this video, we're going to see about the risk factors, clinical features, complications, and how to manage placenta previa. So make sure to watch this video till the end and make sure to hit the like button and share this video to your friends if you like this video, and also subscribe to our channel for more such videos. The risk factors for placenta previa are multiparity, elderly pregnancy, uterine scar. This is an important risk factor to study because the presence of uterine scar favors the implantation of placenta at that site. So, following procedures like cesarean section, myomectomy, or hysterectomy, there's a scar in the uterus, and at that site, implantation of placenta is favored. So, there is high risks of developing placenta previa in those women. Prior curettage for any condition also is a risk factor. History of placenta previa in a previous pregnancy also increases the chances of developing placenta previa in the present pregnancy. Smoking is another risk factor. There are four types of placenta previa. Type 1 is called as low-lying placenta previa. In this type, the placenta is just lying in the lower part of the uterus, but it is not reaching the internal os of the cervix. Type 2 is also called as marginal type of placenta previa. In this type, the placenta is reaching the margin of the internal os, but it is not covering the internal os of the cervix. Type 3 is called as the incomplete type of placenta previa. In this type, the placenta partially covers the internal os of the cervix, but during labor, this covering of the internal os by the placenta is uncovered. Type 4 is called as the complete type of placenta previa, also called as the central type of placenta previa. In this type, the placenta completely covers the internal os of the cervix, and during labor also, this covering is not uncovered. Type 1 and anterior subtype of type 2 placenta previa are called as milder degrees of placenta previa, whereas the major degrees of placenta previa are the posterior subtype of type 2, type 3 and type 4 placenta previas. Okay, so type 2 alone, you must remember that it is divided into anterior and posterior. Type 2 anterior is mild degree, whereas type 2 posterior is major degree. Okay, so apart from that, you must also remember that type 2 posterior is also called as the dangerous type of placenta previa. This is because type 2 posterior type of placenta previa, the placenta is implanted in the lower part of the uterus on the posterior aspect. So that is where the sacral curvature is present. So already there is less space in the uterine cavity at that site, in that area. So if placenta is getting implanted over the sacral curvature area, the space in the uterus is further compromised in that area. So during labor, what happens is that the head of the fetus will not be able to descend through this very narrow space. So that will cause compression of the placenta and further fetal discomfort, and there can be chances of increased chances of postpartum hemorrhage, and also there can be chances of missing the diagnosis of placenta previa if it is situated posteriorly, and it will be difficult to diagnose it on ultrasound as well. So for these many reasons, type 2 posterior type of placenta previa is also called as dangerous type of placenta previa. So the clinical features of placenta previa, one of the most common symptom with which patients present for placenta previa is vaginal bleeding, and it can be either sudden onset or it can be recurrent vaginal bleeding as well. So, and one more thing to remember is that mostly it is painless, and we don't know the cause for bleeding in such patients. So if a patient comes with this kind of a presentation, you must suspect placenta previa, because placenta previa is one of the most common cause of antenatal hemorrhage. On abdominal examination, size of uterus is proportional to the gestational age of the fetus. The uterus is relaxed. Malpresentation is quite common in placenta previa. That is because the placenta is present in the lower uterine segment. So what happens is that the head won't have adequate space to occupy in the lower part of the uterus. So it automatically occupies the upper part of the uterus, which is relatively spacious. So that is one of the cause for malpresentation in placenta previa. Head of the fetus is floating, which means in the later half of the pregnancy, near the end of the pregnancy, what happens is that the head of the fetus starts descending into the pelvis of the mother. That is called as engagement of the head. What happens here is that because of the presence of the placenta in the lower part of the uterus, the head will not be able to descend down into the maternal pelvis, so it stays above, even in the later part of the pregnancy. So that is called as a floating head. So another clinical sign which you must know for exams which will be asked in vivas is Stallworthy sign. What is Stallworthy sign is that when we compress the head of the fetus, there will be fetal discomfort, which fetal distress, which can be seen as decrease in fetal heart rate, a drop in fetal heart rate. That is because when we compress the fetal head, what's happening here is that this fetal head will compress on the the placenta which is implanted in the lower part of the uterus, and that causes decreased blood flow to the fetus, and that in turn causes fetal distress. So you must also remember that Stallworthy sign is common for posteriorly implanted placentas more commonly. Okay, for example, type 2 posterior type of placenta. In these type of placenta previas, you can actually see Stallworthy sign commonly, and you must also remember that it can also be seen in normal pregnancies as well. So it is not very specific. So Stallworthy sign is a decrease in fetal heart rate on pressing the head of the fetus. We should also remember that you should never perform per-vaginal examination in cases of suspected placenta previa. So how to suspect placenta previa? Any woman who is pregnant who comes with painless and recurrent vaginal bleeding should be considered as placenta previa unless proven otherwise. Okay, so you must remember that. And performing per-vaginal examination in them can cause massive hemorrhage and even can lead to hemorrhagic shock. Ultrasound can be used to diagnose placenta previa, since we will not be able to do per-vaginal examination. If a woman comes with painless and recurrent vaginal bleeding, what we must do is that we must perform ultrasound. It can be transabdominal or transvaginal, both are equally good. You can also do transperineal, and you can also perform other investigations like color Doppler and MRI. The complications of placenta previa. There are high chances of malpresentation, the reason I explained already, and because of that, preterm labor can also happen. Cord prolapse is quite common. Retained placenta is another complication, which can in turn cause postpartum hemorrhage. So these are the complications, important complications and common complications which you must know. You should also know about the concept of double setup examination. I've told you you shouldn't perform per-vaginal examination in the case of suspected placenta previa. So if you suspect placenta previa, what they used to do is that they ship the patient to operation theatre, and what they do is that they'll perform per-vaginal examination there with every setup being ready for a cesarean section in case something goes wrong. Okay, so we perform per-vaginal examination in the operation theatre, and if we identify the presence of placenta previa, we can perform cesarean section at that sitting only, and we'll be able to manage hemorrhage since we are in operation theatre. So this is called as double setup examination. This is not very commonly done these days. This is usually done for cases of placenta previa which cannot be clearly identified either clinically or on ultrasound. Okay, so this is about double setup examination. Management of placenta previa can be divided into expectant management and active management. So the expectant management is just observing and improving the condition of the patient and delivering at near term, whereas the active management is terminating the pregnancy at that point of time. Okay, so we'll see what are the conditions required to do expectant management or active management. Expectant management can be done if the patient is clinically stable, the vitals are good, and there is no fetal distress, so the fetal heart sounds are good, and if the period of gestation is less than 37 weeks, when we actually have to try to prolong the pregnancy if everything is fine, because it will help the fetus to attain adequate lung maturity. Whereas the active management is performed in cases of unstable patient when the vitals aren't good, there's massive hemorrhage and uncontrolled bleeding, there is fetal distress seen as fetal drop in fetal heart rate, and if the period of gestation is more than or equal to 37 weeks. Okay, so these are the prerequisites for doing expectant management or active management. Expectant management of placenta previa is done by McAfee and Johnson regime. The principles of McAfee and Johnson regime are that we admit the patient, we monitor them frequently, and we improve the condition of the patient by arranging for blood transfusion, and in case something goes wrong again, the chances of recurrent hemorrhage is possible, so we should arrange for blood transfusion. And in case the patient has contractions in less than 37 weeks, we can actually give tocolytic drugs to decrease the contraction of the uterus, and we can try to prolong the pregnancy. And this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to prolong the pregnancy at least till term, and we also make sure to give corticosteroid injections to the mother to improve the fetal lung maturity. Apart from that, we'll try to deliver if the period of gestation reaches 37 weeks. Okay, so this is the principle of McAfee and Johnson regime, which is the expectant management for placenta previa. Active management of placenta previa is termination of pregnancy at that point of time. It is usually done at around 37 weeks of pregnancy if the period of gestation is 37 weeks or more, and it is also done if the condition of the woman, if the pregnant lady isn't good, and if there is active fetal distress. These are the points where we cannot continue the pregnancy any further. So the active management of placenta previa is usually done by cesarean section. It can be tried. A vaginal delivery can be tried in some cases. For example, in cases of like in type 1 placenta previa, when the placenta is clearly more than 2 centimeters away from the internal os of the cervix. Okay, but commonly done method of active management of placenta previa is by cesarean section. So let's see a made simple summary of the things which we saw in this video today. Placenta previa is a condition where there is low-lying placenta. There are basically 4 types of placenta previa. Type 1 is called as low-lying placenta previa. Type 2 is marginal. Type 3 is incomplete, and type 4 is complete type of placenta previa. The most common clinical feature is painless recurrent bleeding per vaginum. The management is done by expectant management or active management, depending on the prerequisites discussed in this video. So expectant management is called as McAfee and Johnson regime, and active management is usually done by cesarean section. If you like this video, please make sure to hit the like button, share this video to your friends, and make sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon for more similar videos. And also make sure to check out our other channel, 2 Minute Doc, where you can learn about various drugs and diseases in just 2 minutes. You can support my channel by donating on Patreon. You can watch more videos by clicking on any of the videos which you see on the screen right here. Thank you so much for watching till the end. I'll see you guys in my next video.